Imagine a hidden truth, locked away for centuries, now on the verge of being exposed. What if I told you that Mel Gibson, one of Hollywood's most controversial figures, stumbled upon something so groundbreaking about Jesus Christ that it could challenge everything you think you know? Something far beyond mainstream teachings, lost scriptures, and the carefully curated narratives we've been given. A revelation so powerful that it has the potential to completely alter our understanding of Jesus' mission on earth. You may believe you know the story of Jesus, but brace yourself, because the reality may be something entirely different. While working behind the scenes on The Passion of the Christ, Mel Gibson encountered information that was never meant to see the light of day. Forgotten texts, insights from independent researchers, and suppressed records that call into question the official version of history. Some sources claim that the Jesus presented to us over centuries may be a distortion of the real figure. But what exactly was removed from history? What secrets did the church and the ruling elite deliberately conceal? The answers may be unsettling, but they are crucial to uncovering the full story. There is a theory that Jesus was not just a spiritual guide, but someone who held access to a lost wisdom, an ancient knowledge so powerful that it had to be hidden, altered, or erased entirely. Knowledge that, if fully understood, could liberate humanity from invisible forces that seek to control it. But what was this hidden truth? What did Jesus reveal that made him such a threat to those in power? Mel Gibson has hinted in interviews that there is an aspect of this story that has never been allowed to reach the public, and that is exactly what we are about to explore. This isn't just speculation. The deeper you look, the more signs you find. Symbols, coded messages, and even historical events manipulated to keep the truth buried. Clues suggest that Jesus spoke of something far beyond traditional teachings, a hidden force within each of us that we have been conditioned to ignore. What was his final and most dangerous message, and why was it deemed so threatening that it had to be erased from historical records? Stay with us until the end, because what you are about to discover could change everything you thought you knew. The revelations Mel Gibson uncovered are not just unsettling. They expose a long-standing pattern of manipulation and deliberate suppression of the truth. What if the story of Jesus we've been told is only a fragment of a much larger reality? What if there was a hidden knowledge with the power to set humanity free, and it was systematically erased from history? Now is the moment to piece together the clues and finally unveil the narrative they never wanted you to know. Since the very origins of Christianity, the image of Jesus Christ has been obscured by secrecy, censorship, and reinterpretations designed to serve specific agendas. As Mel Gibson immersed himself in the making of The Passion of the Christ, he began to uncover evidence suggesting that the accepted version of Jesus' life is merely a carefully curated portion of the full story. Through discussions with historians, theologians, and independent researchers, he encountered ancient texts and forgotten manuscripts that cast doubt on the long-held teachings propagated by religious institutions. But what exactly do these hidden records disclose, and why has this knowledge remained concealed for so many centuries? One of the most astonishing revelations comes from the apocryphal Gospels, writings that were deliberately excluded from the Bible as we know it today. These texts present an entirely different understanding of Jesus' teachings, hinting at profound insights into the limitless potential of human consciousness, the power to shape reality, and the mechanisms used by those in control to suppress such wisdom. Some scholars argue that these accounts do more than just expand on Christ's messages. They suggest he imparted knowledge so radical that the ruling elite saw it as a direct threat to their authority. In rare interviews, Mel Gibson has alluded to a missing piece of Jesus' story that the world may not yet be ready to confront. He has spoken of conversations with experts who claim that Jesus' message went far beyond love and compassion. It touched on the very nature of existence itself, revealing secrets that were methodically erased from religious doctrine. Could it be that Jesus possessed an understanding of reality so profound that it challenged the very structures of power that have controlled humanity for millennia? This question invites us to re-examine everything we have been taught about faith and spirituality, and the implications are far greater than we ever imagined. Furthermore, there are strong indications that Jesus possessed deep knowledge about the power of human consciousness and the ability of thought to shape reality. Several non-canonical Gospels contain passages suggesting that he taught methods for consciously influencing existence, ideas that strikingly align with modern understandings of quantum physics and neuroscience. If this interpretation is accurate, then Jesus' teachings were far more than just moral or spiritual lessons. They pointed to an untapped potential within humanity itself. But if this knowledge was so transformative, why was it concealed? Who stood to gain from keeping humanity unaware of its own innate power? Yet, this is just the beginning of the unsettling discoveries. Even within the historical records of the Church, there is evidence suggesting that key sections of the Bible were edited, reinterpreted, or even omitted over time. What Mel Gibson uncovered during his deep dive into these ancient accounts may be more shocking than we ever imagined. If Jesus truly left behind teachings capable of revolutionizing our understanding of existence, why were they systematically erased? What vital truths have been hidden from us? These are the questions we must examine closely. Mel Gibson has never shied away from controversial perspectives regarding the history of Jesus Christ. While researching the Passion of the Christ, he came across compelling evidence suggesting that Jesus' original teachings were not only altered, but deliberately suppressed over centuries. According to Gibson, ancient texts and gospels rejected by mainstream religious authorities reveal a radically different portrayal of Christ, one that goes beyond the conventional image of a spiritual leader. Instead, they depict him as a teacher of profound wisdom, someone who understood the true nature of human existence and sought to awaken others to their own divine potential. This idea is particularly disruptive because it directly challenges the foundation upon which religious institutions have built their power. One of the most striking revelations Gibson encountered involves the connection between Jesus' message and esoteric knowledge concerning the nature of reality and human consciousness. Some apocryphal gospels suggest that Christ did not advocate reliance on intermediaries to access the divine, but instead taught that every person holds the ability to connect with God directly. This concept is clearly expressed in the Gospel of Thomas, where Jesus declares that the kingdom of God resides within each individual and can be accessed without the need for religious hierarchy. For the authorities of the time, such an idea was deeply threatening, as it undermined the very structure that kept them in control. When viewed through this lens, it becomes clear why these teachings had to be buried. One of the most unsettling revelations Mel Gibson has hinted at over the years is the possibility that Jesus' crucifixion was not merely a religious event, but a calculated effort to silence someone who possessed forbidden knowledge. According to Gibson, Christ was far more than a preacher. He was someone who deeply understood the mechanics of the mind and the universe, holding insights that could have liberated people from the control imposed by both political rulers and religious institutions. This perspective aligns with modern theories in quantum physics and neuroscience, which suggest that human consciousness plays a fundamental role in shaping reality. If Jesus was indeed teaching such concepts, it is not difficult to see why his message might have been systematically erased, ensuring that people never realize the full extent of their own power. Gibson has also expressed interest in theories that suggest early Christians practiced a form of faith vastly different from what later became institutionalized Christianity. Historical accounts indicate that before the establishment of the Church as an authority, Christ's followers engaged in a spiritual tradition focused on self-discovery, expanded awareness, and personal liberation from societal constraints. Over time, this approach was replaced with a rigid system that positioned salvation as something controlled by religious intermediaries, effectively turning Christianity into an instrument of social domination. To Gibson, this deliberate manipulation of Christ's teachings could be considered one of the greatest deceptions in human history. Another crucial point Gibson has explored is the role of fear in controlling faith. For centuries, Christianity has been used to instill boundaries and punish those who dared to question established doctrines. The concept of sin, for example, was systematically reinforced to create a pervasive sense of guilt and submission among believers. However, ancient texts excluded from the biblical canon suggest that Jesus did not emphasize fear or divine retribution, but instead preached the awakening of consciousness and love as the true keys to spiritual freedom. This discovery, according to Gibson's research, further supports the theory that history was rewritten to keep people trapped within a belief system designed to suppress their true potential. The implications of Gibson's findings are deeply unsettling because they suggest that the image of Jesus Christ we have today is merely a carefully constructed version, shaped to serve particular interests rather than to reflect his original message. If Christ truly taught about humanity's innate connection to the divine, the power of thought, and the ability to achieve spiritual freedom without institutional mediation, then much of what is preached today is a distorted reflection of his true purpose. While Gibson may not have disclosed everything he has uncovered, his statements and ongoing interest in these hidden aspects of history strongly suggest that there is far more to the story than what we have been told. The information he encountered behind the scenes may very well be the missing link to understanding why such extraordinary efforts have been made to obscure the true essence of Jesus Christ. The discoveries of Mel Gibson have sparked a deeper conversation, not only about the historical figure of Jesus Christ, but also about the way his teachings are perceived today. For centuries, the portrayal of Christ has been largely shaped by a singular narrative, with any alternative perspectives quickly branded as heretical or even conspiratorial. Yet, the existence of apocryphal gospels, independent theological studies, and historical documents that have been suppressed over time point to a much broader and richer story. The true essence of Jesus' message may have been obscured, reduced to rigid dogmas that supported the power structures of religious institutions. In contrast, his original teachings may have centered around an inner awakening, a path to liberation from fear and oppression. It is crucial for us, in the light of these findings, to approach this new information with an open mind, resisting the urge to reject it simply because it challenges long-held beliefs. This doesn't mean we need to abandon our faith. Rather, it calls for a willingness to question the origins of certain doctrines, to explore what might have been altered or concealed throughout history. After all, if historical evidence suggests that Jesus taught a message of self-awareness and freedom, shouldn't we consider the possibility? Equally important is recognizing that knowledge, when approached correctly, should never be seen as a weapon against spirituality. Instead, it can serve as a bridge to a deeper connection with the truth. The goal of delving into these lesser-known aspects of Jesus' life and teachings is not to undermine religion or its doctrines, but to provoke thoughtful reflection on what Christ truly taught, versus what may have been shaped by political and institutional motives. True faith isn't threatened by the pursuit of knowledge. In fact, it can be strengthened when we expand our understanding of Jesus' message, moving beyond narrow interpretations. For those who are willing to explore this subject with an open heart, many sources offer alternative perspectives, like the Gospel of Thomas, the Nag Hammadi texts, and the works of independent philosophers and theologians. In addition, modern scholars are actively re-examining the relationship between the original teachings of Christianity and the broader spiritual principles that go beyond traditional religious frameworks. Mel Gibson, through his work in film and public statements, has brought attention to a wealth of overlooked information that could help us uncover the true nature of who Jesus was and what he sought to teach humanity. When engaging with this new knowledge, the most important factor is the responsibility with which we interpret it. Historical revelations should never be used as tools to undermine beliefs or to create division between those who hold faith and those who prefer a more investigative approach to the facts. Instead, the best course is one of discernment, striving to understand all sides of the story, comparing sources, and remaining open to new insights without automatically dismissing anything that challenges the conventional narrative. Jesus, regardless of the portrayal he has received over time, advocated for the pursuit of truth and freedom from the bonds of fear and ignorance. Ultimately, the discoveries made by Mel Gibson and other researchers regarding the hidden teachings of Jesus Christ should not be seen as a threat, but as a gateway to growth and introspection. The idea that history may have been shaped for particular agendas does not diminish the value of faith. Rather, it allows individuals to make more conscious, informed decisions about what they choose to believe. Perhaps the central lesson Christ imparted to humanity is the courage to ask questions, to look beyond surface appearances, and to realize that a genuine connection with the divine is rooted not in external systems, but in the personal awakening of each individual. What Mel Gibson's exploration of Jesus Christ's life reveals is that the history we know might be only a small portion of the complete truth. Throughout the centuries, different groups have manipulated the narrative to serve their own interests, concealing key aspects that could entirely change how we understand Christ's purpose and his message. What has been lost is not merely a set of texts, but a profound body of knowledge about the nature of existence, the power of human consciousness, and the true connection between humanity and the divine. Had this information been preserved and shared openly, perhaps humanity would not be so ensnared by systems of fear and control, but rather living in a more conscious and autonomous way. What's truly remarkable about all of this is that despite efforts to suppress it, fragments of this knowledge have managed to survive through time. These fragments are scattered in ancient writings, in the works of independent scholars, and even in certain biblical passages that, when seen through a different lens, can unveil surprising truths. Mel Gibson, through his films and public statements, has underscored that there is far more to the story than we have been told, and the truth might be more unsettling than we are prepared to accept. If Jesus truly taught that each individual possesses the power to transform their own reality, then his teachings were not just spiritual in nature, but revolutionary. In light of this, the best way to approach this newfound knowledge is with discernment and curiosity. Instead of quickly rejecting anything that challenges established historical narratives, we should examine this information with an open mind. It's not about discrediting faith, but understanding what may have been distorted over time. Seeking the truth doesn't erase spirituality. In fact, it deepens it in a more aware and authentic way. Christ's message, when viewed outside the influence of political and institutional agendas, may carry a far deeper and more liberating meaning than we have ever been taught to believe. Now that this knowledge is in your hands, what will you do with it? If this video has sparked important reflections for you, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. Drop a like. It helps us share this message with more people. And of course, leave your thoughts on this subject in the comments. Do you think the story of Jesus has been altered over time? Let's continue this conversation together. I'll see you in the next video.